Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom, and welcome to another episode of So Frail Conversations. Today I'm going to be talking about a very, I don't know, man. Lately everything's been a touchy topic for some reason, but it's going to be a very special one because it's something that really needs to be spoken on and expounded upon because I've been having a lot of conversations with sisters over the last couple weeks, especially regarding protecting, you know, women and things of that nature. And recently I was kind of tagged in something to respond to it. Like, people typically do, what are your thoughts on this? I want you to chime in on this. And I'm like, all right. So I chimed in and, I gave my piece on it, because the person asked, why men, won't protect women. What is it? We know that not all men, but we need to know what the issue is right there. So, I kind of responded with, it's the fade. You feel me? Which is what I'm ultimately going to be talking about now, but I'm going to be going deeper than I did, of course, in that response. But it's the fade that most men are afraid of, that they're not willing to admit in one regard, in many regards. So it's justified in multiple ways that, okay, I'm afraid of a physical fight, and one sister, she kind of went in like, that's not a valid excuse. And I was like, I wasn't making an excuse. I was telling why. Like, I was answering the question. You feel what I'm saying? So it kind of got to where it sparked the ideation for me to say, hey, let me do a topic on this because it's a reality. You feel what I'm saying? It's a major reality. A lot of men are afraid of the fade. And what I mean by that, there's layers to being afraid of the fade, but at the core of it, that's where it starts. You know what I mean? Being afraid to fight, being afraid to not only fight, but get your ass whooped. That fear of, if I get beat up, then it's not all worth it. And that's an underlying thing for a lot of us, especially when it comes to the protection, part, because we know that's what it can ultimately come to. And then we know the layers of what can happen, he with his homies or whatever the case may be, they chump me, they do all this other shit. So it goes into that. But at the core, at the root, at all of it, what it boils down to is being afraid to get beat up, and this may not be you particularly, this may not be people but at the end of the day, there is some kind of underlying current that keeps us from fighting, keeps us from getting beat up, keeps us from wanting to protect women for that reason. Because like I said, we go to the extreme of saying, I'm not willing to die for this woman, and why do we put that as the extreme? Because we understand that it could come to that depending on who we're fighting and who we're defending her against, because we know the culture, the type of men that, do certain things and do respond certain ways. But if we can actively say those men do that, like, that's where it gets crazy. Because when we say, oh, those men that flex on women, they know who to do it to and they bitches. But at the same time, if they are bitches and if they know to flex only on women, how the fuck are the men who are not afraid to flex on another man not saying anything when it happens? Now I got y'all attention. Okay, so today we're going to go in on the fade. But what I'm going to do is take a quick break before I dive heavy into it, get my thoughts all in order and lined up, and we're really going to discuss it because at the end of the day, we can't in one breath call the men that are hitting women, the men that are disrespecting women and all that shit. Like, we can't on paper call them soft and say, oh, they know who to do it to. They're doing it to the right ones. They only going to do it to women because we can't say that shit and then not step in when we see that shit. Because if they are in fact bitches and we're not doing anything, when they do something to women, what does that make us? If a bitch can bitch you, you a bitch. But before I get started and get too heavy into it, be sure to follow me on Instagram at _just_seen_. Right? Be sure to visit me at IamJustSeen.com to get all things that are me. To get my book, So Frail, A Reality to Black Male Masculinity, and So Frail, Too Toxic Femininity. To get my book, Hitting the Raw, Living the Raw Plant-Based Lifestyle for Life, and to sign up for the Hitting the Raw program. To be sure to check out the podcast and other previous episodes. to get my merch, Just Scenes merch, and to sign up for the Mastering the Market trading course and live webinars that occur every 2 weeks. So you can get some trading insight and learn about how the markets are moving. Okay. I appreciate everybody who tips, donates, and sponsors the podcast. If you would like to do so, you can click the description in your of your podcast. Cash App, PayPal, they work just fine. I am working on getting payment set up, the new one that's similar to PayPal that is strictly for us. I'm working on getting that set up so I can, try to transfer a little bit. And yeah, that's about it. So, like I said, we're going to take a quick break. And then when we come back, we're going to dive into So Frail Conversations, the fade. Oh yeah, and don't forget to visit IamJustSeen.com. There, you can get all things Just Seen. You want to add the So Frail series to your library? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You want to learn how to master the market for serious trading and investing? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You want to get your hands on some exclusive merch like tees, hoodies, coffee mugs, hats, bags? Visit IamJustSeen.com. Are you thinking about transitioning into the plant-based lifestyle? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You ever want to just chat with Seen about anything from simple advice to mentorship? Visit IamJustSeen.com. Anything and everything that is me, you can find at IamJustSeen.com. So just take a quick peek into my world and see why being just seen is nothing less but always more. Because you never really know what you need until you see it. You will never see it unless you visit IamJustSeen.com. All right, welcome back. Without further ado, we're going to dive into it because we're going to talk today. We're going to talk today, my brothers, because, I'm in this conversation with this sister, right? She's upset. She's very frustrated. Black men ain't protecting us. Black men ain't doing this. And, when I explain that part to her why it's happening, she's like, yo, that's not an excuse. And, she's snapping and all of that stuff. And I'm like, she's not wrong. She's not wrong. You know what I'm saying? And some of the sisters was on some, they were stepping in. He wasn't saying that, dog. Like, nah. I'm like, let her rock. Let her have her moment. Like, you feel what I'm saying? We need shit like this. We need shit like this because what happens is that in this conversation that goes on, we try so hard to deflect rather than accept and change. You dig what I'm saying? Rather than accepting and changing. And the reality is that, when it comes to this shit of protecting and provision, we have to realize and accept that a lot of us are bitches. A lot of us are bitches. And I'm not, you can be the muscular motherfucker. You can be the motherfucker who has created an aura around himself to where people, are afraid to approach him or do some crazy shit like that. But at the core, are you really a fighter? That's the real question, because a lot of times collectively women have defaulted men to being protectors and providers, and we are. But when it comes to that protection, do you know how to fight? You feel what I'm saying? We overlook that part. I don't blame women for overlooking that part, because there's things that we don't overlook in women simply because they're women. You feel what I'm saying? We assume certain things, so that's why certain things are assumed on us. And one of those things that are assumed on us is whether or not we can protect and provide. So that's automatically, being a protector automatically defaults to the fact that you can fight. You feel what I'm saying? A lot of us that are in these spaces aren't protectors and providers, not because we don't we could be the provider part, but the protector's hard because we don't know how to fight. You feel me? This is not me trying to be funny or, come at anybody sideways, but a lot of us haven't had the knuckle game growing up. You feel me? It's you have to consider that shit too. This is not putting the onus on women saying, oh, women, well, did your man get beat up when he was young? Did your man learn how to fight when he was young? Are the men that you're asking to protect and provide for you, have they learned how to protect themselves, learn how to protect and provide that reality? So it comes into that. A lot of motherfuckers ain't everybody wasn't a fighter and everybody wasn't a winner in the fights. You feel what I'm saying? But like Pop said in Friday, you win some, you lose some, you live to fight another day. We lost that ability to be able to fight. Not because I have to win this fight or I'm only going to take this fight if I know I'm going to beat this person up. No, I'm going to fight you to know what is real. See, when I grew up, me and my homies and the ops that we had and shit, we fought each other for respect. You feel what I'm saying? Now I'm coming from that cusp of physically fighting for respect and shooting motherfuckers for respect. You feel what I'm saying? Me and my homies, we didn't mind a fade. We didn't mind it. You know what I'm saying? So I had to consider that in that regard. Like when I'm talking to these women and they're like, yo, men aren't protecting them. They're not protecting us. Men aren't saying anything. And I'm like, yo, that doesn't apply to me because, you know, if some shit popped off, I'm willing to go the distance if I got to. But it never dawned on me that some motherfuckers ain't built like that. You feel me? A lot of motherfuckers ain't built like that because they never been in a physical altercation. Or they never had a successful physical altercation. You feel what I'm saying? And that now plays a part into why they don't do shit. Because like I said, when you put on the table, now men, like I said, you, especially fucking with me, you have to be careful what the fuck you say because I'm going to hold you to it. So when we say, oh, it's these men that are soft, they know who to try that with. They know to only come at women and do that shit. But yet, men are not checking it. So if these very men are bitches by our standards, by men's standards, saying that these men are bitches because they only hit women, or they bitches because they only gonna come at a woman that way, but they ain't gonna come at a man. But when we see these bitches coming at women like that, why the fuck are we as men not coming at them for coming at the women? Is that because in addition to them being bitches, we bitches too? You feel me? And again, back to the sisters thing, I use we collectively because I'm like, I'm not trying to absolve myself from this shit and say, you know, I'm different from y'all, whether I am or not. You feel me? I've been lumped up. I've had my losses. I've had my wins. I've knocked motherfuckers out. I've been put down on my ass. I've had them. So I'm not afraid of a fight. I'm not afraid of a physical fight at any given moment. You feel what I'm saying? But when you've been in that position, when you've been in that position where you've never been in a fight, you feel me? You've never been in a fist fight, then what happens? You don't know what to do. You don't know what happens when you get punched in your mouth and now you got to regroup because now your whole shit's discombobulated. You got to take a step back and, you know what I mean, get your shit together because now your emotions are going crazy and now you're not thinking clearly anymore. You're not, you know, it's levels to it. You feel what I'm saying? I learned how to do this when I was young. You feel me? My big brother taught me how to do this when I was young because my big brother, he knew ahead of time that me and my brother are 7 years apart, right? So he knew I can't call him if I get beat up. He can't fight my battles. He couldn't fight my battles. Like, it was one thing that we were like 2 years apart or some shit. He can knock a motherfucker out for me if he's doing something. You feel me? But I'm 7 years, like, he can't fight no kids because that's really what, like, my enemies and the people that I was fighting would be. So my brother, I was 5 years old. Now, if you follow in the podcast, you heard the story about when I fought the little kid who was bullying me. This is what led up to that and me beating his ass because I didn't want to fight him. You feel me? But my brother, he pulled me, said, yo, you're going to get roughed up today. Took me in a little shed. It was him, his homeboy, and me and his homeboy's cousin. Me and his homeboy's cousin were the same age. And then him and his homeboy were the same age. So they took us in the shed like, yo, we're going to rough y'all up. We're going to get y'all tough. Like, y'all going to be tough. I'm like, man, the fuck does that mean? I'm nervous. I'm like five fucking years old. I'm like, the fuck does that mean? So we go in the shed and he punched me. And that shit hurt. I just looked at him like, the first hit was like, yo, I started crying. I'm like, what the fuck you hit me for? And he's like, hit me back. I'm like, no, I'm not hitting you back. Like, fuck, because you're going to beat me up. He said, that's the point. I was like, what? I said, wait, you want to hit me so you can beat me up? So I was like, so he hit me again. He was like, hit me back. And I'm like, no. So he hit me this last time and I lit him up. I didn't do much damage because I'm 5, he's 12. But when he hit me that time, it's just like I felt the anger build up. I felt the frustration. I couldn't contain anymore. He said, just let go. And when I let go, it's like, bam, I just started punching him. Of course, he's, you know, taking the hits, blocking them and doing whatever he's doing. But it's like he's teaching me how to fight at that moment. In that very moment, he's teaching me how to fight. So, you know, he's still hitting me. He's doing what he's doing. And I'm like, bro, what are you doing? So then after he gives me the lesson, he's like, if you'll take a hit from me, I'm not worried about you getting beat up by anybody your age. I'm not worried about you getting beat up by anybody your size. Because I took the hit. I cried and shit, but I took the hit. And that's when right after that, little motherfucker bullied me. I lit his ass up, and then I seen it in real time. And because like when he hit me, like after he snatched my bag, I think he got a punch in or something, but it never fazed me because I'm like, yo, my brother hits me. He hits way harder than you. The fuck? I'm gonna whoop your motherfucking ass. And I beat him down. I fucked him up. But then from that point forward, it was more so I wasn't afraid of a fight because I'm like, yo, I fight my brother. Like my big brother is like, I don't give a fuck about y'all little kids my age. So I was beating motherfuckers up. You feel me? Not on no bully shit, but, and that was another thing he taught me too. My brother and my mom simultaneously instilled this in me. My brother taught me how to fight. My mom taught me when I should be fighting. She always said, if anybody fuck with you, you beat the snot out of them. Then my brother taught me how to beat the snot out of motherfuckers. So it's like, yo, you gonna get this, you gonna get the whole fade. You feel me? But over time, it was like, I never took shit. You feel me? It got to a point where people had to say, yo, you need to think before you fight. No, fuck that. The moment you say to me, like, I when I was younger, I used to get into fights when motherfuckers would approach me and be like, yo, I heard you want to fight me. Right? Punched you right in the mouth. They're like, yo, what you just, I stole off on you because when you came with that energy, I heard you want to fight me. Your mind is already built on fighting. Why are we talking? The fuck kind of shit is that? You feel me? But that was me. That's because I had, in addition to that, I had what I call a skinny man's complex. I was already slim. You feel me? I'm not about to wrestle you because you got, the size over me. I'm going to punch your motherfucking ass out. You feel me? But that's me. I'm not going to stay too much on me because now I'm trying to get back into the point of how many of us have had that. You feel me? In addition to being taught how to fight when I was 5, continually fighting year after year after year, then sparring when I'm in my teenage years with my homies. Like, me and my homies would actually put boxing gloves on. Some hoods we slap box, some hoods we use boxing gloves. And mine, we use boxing gloves because we had that respect for each other. We would literally spar in the middle of the street. You feel me? Put the gloves, yo, let's go put the gloves on. We ain't got shit else to do. Like, that was our hobby. You feel me? Let's go put some gloves on. It's hot. It's summertime, man. We got that motherfucker shirts off, gloves on. What's up? You feel me? Knocking, bam, bam, bam. You have it around. Switch somebody else, put the gloves on. You take your break, drink your water. We dap each other up when it's done and shit. We did that. You know what I'm saying? We made sure our hands was on point at all times. You feel what I'm saying? But not many people have gone through that. Not many people have gone through shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So now when we ask for this protection and provision and like to check a man, it's like, it's different because it's like, like I said, I'm gonna keep reiterating this point for us as men to say, oh, they know who to try that to. They know to only come to women. But if they know to only come to women because they will not fight a man, why is it that a man is not fighting them for women? I don't get it. You feel what I'm saying? Because we fear getting beat up by that person. You feel what I'm saying? So it's good to talk and flex online, but we got to put the reality in that shit too, bro. We might be soft. Some of us might be soft. Some of us have never been in a fist fight a day in our lives. You feel what I'm saying? But we also have to figure out a lot of the factors that do change us and make us softer and make us lose that essence to fight. Because I'm not just going to, hype it up like, oh yeah, I'm still willing to fight. I had to get back down to this point where I'm like, yo, I can scrap again. If you cross my shit, yo, at 30, I could dump you off. You feel me? But I had reached a point not too long ago where I was like, man, I'm too old to be fighting. I'm not fighting anymore. But I had started to create these rationales for myself. And I know the moment they started. They started for me when I went to college. I couldn't fight no more. I couldn't physically put the hands on a motherfucker if they disrespected me. I couldn't physically put my hands on a motherfucker if I seen some fuck shit. I couldn't do it anymore because now I got shit to lose. The longer you go without fighting, the less you fight. The less active you become with it, the less your fighting skills, your innate ability with that, it goes away because you're not practicing it. You feel what I'm saying? So I remember the moment when I shifted and it was like, it was no longer accepted and tolerable for me to fight. It was my freshman year in college. Freshman year in college was like a major make or break moment for me. If I would have acted on a lot of shit that I grew up with, I probably would have got kicked out. But you feel what I'm saying? I had to transition. So I'm in a lobby and we're having a an event or some shit. And this dude was in there and he had this event, this talk show type bullshit on there. And in the talk show, what he was doing was, I forgot what he was doing, but we wanted to watch it or something, but the DVD wasn't working. So all I said was, damn, the DVD ain't working. I said, well, I guess we can't watch it. That's all I said. So he looked back and got snappy, catty argumentative type motherfucker, right? You feel me? If you read So Frail, you know what I'm talking about. So Frail 2, you know what I'm talking about. So, I'm chilling, sitting with the shorty and shit, and I'm like, I look at her, I say, you know what? I'm gonna step out, because I don't, you know what I mean? He's talking stupid now. You feel what I'm saying? This was the moment I started to realize, because I didn't respond back to him negatively. I didn't say anything like, yo, bro, watch your motherfucking mouth, like I wanted to. So I walk out, okay? I walk out of the space, but I look back, it had like a glass panel that you could see through the door. So when the door closed, I'm standing at the elevator, I look at it and I see him running his mouth. And I open the door, I walk back through the motherfucker, I said, yo, bro, don't wait till I leave to say some shit. Say that shit now. Now, everybody tells me when the people that were there say the look on my face said if nobody would have got between it, I said, y'all have never seen a fighter then. Because I said, y'all wouldn't have gotten between it if I was going to fight him right then. I said it wouldn't have been like, y'all, it would have been too quick for y'all to even intervene. I asked him what he said. I said, you notice I didn't even walk all the way through the door. I just put my body halfway in and said, yo, don't wait till I leave. Talk that shit now. You feel what I'm saying? And then when I opened the door and I said, don't wait till I leave, talk that shit now, he said nothing. He just stopped talking. And they were like, yo, get out of the lobby. I said, the fuck for? I said, I'm not going to do shit to him. He obviously don't want to fight. He's soft. He ain't going to do shit. But that created a reality for me because I was stopped. That was the first time I was ever stopped from fighting. You feel what I'm saying? If I ever got into a position where it's like, yo, bro, you want to scrap? Yeah, we can scrap. All right, let's go. There was never anybody talking me down, but now that I went to college, it's different. They're like, yo, you have to think you cannot do this shit anymore. Because if you get kicked out, I'm like, okay, cool. So now on a grander scale, as I'm going up, I'm getting the jobs, I'm doing all this shit, I can fight less and less. Literally. Not that I had to, not that I wanted to at any given point, but there would be moments that I would have to just bite shit and be like, yo, I remember this was before I left the last job that I had. I was a valet manager, right? And I'm big on, I don't hit women, I don't abuse women, but I'm big on beating your brother's ass or your cousin's ass or somebody's close to you in favor of what the fuck I would do to you if I was an abusive man. You feel what I'm saying? What I mean by that is this. If we get into a relationship and you hit me as a woman or you do something to me, I'm liable to beat your brother up and fuck your brother up to show you what could have happened if I was that type of person. Is it toxic? Is it wrong? I don't know. It could be, but it's the message that needs to be sent to stop fucking with me, right? So I'm at work and this lady and her nephew was there. And they're lying on us, right? Because, we were parking cars and we had we had yellow pillars in our garage and they had a blue scuff on the car. That shit don't make sense. So I'm defending my team like, yo, they didn't damage your car, whatever. So this lady, you know what I'm saying? And again, I was in so many different conundrums at this particular moment because she's a black woman, but at the same time, she pokes me. Like she fucking poked me, bro. She put her fucking finger in my chest and she had a long ass nail. Haitian lady just started fucking poking me. And I was like, I just clenched my jaws and I looked at her nephew. I wanted to punch him, like he was standing right there. Like I wanted her to feel what she just did to me through him. Like at that moment. And when I looked at him, I locked eyes with him. He was like, auntie, let's go. But we just gonna report this. No, we gonna report this. And I was like, y'all doing this shit because I can't do nothing right now. This would not happen if I wasn't at work. And now I'm in a position like, yo, I want to fuck him up. I want to beat his ass so fucking bad right now just to send a message to her that this is what happens when you poke motherfuckers you don't know. You feel me? Because everybody ain't a bitch. But sometimes it's like you reach a point where you become a bitch over time because you have to keep suppressing yourself. So, you know what I'm saying? If I was just a regular valet, I probably would have stuffed off on her nephew. I wouldn't have gave a fuck, but I was the manager. I had moved up in positions. I said, no, I have to set the example. So I was like, okay, I got to fight this a better way. So long story short, she gets home. She gives us a call back and she says, I just want to apologize to you because I shouldn't have been that way. My son told me that he hit the car before we left. I said, we told you that. Now I'm upset and I'm tight. I'm like, yo, we told you that we didn't damage the car. I said, I appreciate the apology. I thank you, but I do not accept it because you had no right putting your hands on me. I said, you poked me, lady. You put your finger on me. And I said, that was wrong. She was like, that was wrong. I said, she was like, and she tried to flip it on us, but you guys should tell your guest when the cars are damaged or whatnot. I said, no, that's your car. We assume the car is damaged already. We're parking 30, 40, 50 cars a day. We don't have time to stop you and say, hey, do you know about this? No, we assume you know the quality of your car. So I said, but what you should do is never put your hands on somebody you do not know. Never physically put your hands on somebody and provoke them knowing that they can't do anything. I said, that's messed up. That's messed up. And I said, your nephew was wrong as well because he lied on me. He said I reeked of marijuana. Well, I'm the only valet attendant that's servicing them as the manager, and they said I reeked of marijuana. I'm like, yeah, I'll pass a P test, bro, if that's what you want to take. You feel me? Because now you send that to the hotel that I was working at, and that can get me. But luckily, they had a whole situation with that. But anyway, the point that I was making was that this was the situation. I'm in a position where I couldn't do anything. So the higher up we go, academia, professional world, we lose that. We lose that, and then it becomes so habitual that we become the very bitch that we're talking about. You feel what I'm saying? We become the very bitch that we talk about. So where our women want them, okay, if a man says something, a man does this, it's a lot of times, like they said, it's a man who won't try that shit with a man, but that's what gets me, because I'm going to keep going back to that shit. I know that was a side tangent, that was about the thing, but I was speaking on how when it comes to us going up higher and higher, we can't respond the way we want to. You feel what I'm saying? Had there have been no stipulation for me to lose my job, had there have been no stipulation for me to jeopardize the company or whatever the case may be that I was working for, I would have beat her nephew up. I would have fucked him up. Like, there would have been no ifs, ands, or maybe. I would have fucked him up and looked at her the whole time like, do not poke me again. Do not fucking poke me again. I'm like, yo, you're feeling what you're feeling her poke, bro. Like, she fucking poked me, man. Like, I'm sorry. I had a moment. Because I couldn't do shit. See, I couldn't do shit about that. As somebody who comes from, if somebody disrespects you, you feel me? Now, again, I'm not an abusive man. Like I said, I don't hit women. But I will beat a man up because of a woman. And I will beat him up for what that woman did. Like I had an ex-girlfriend. I told her, I said, look, we cool and all. But, we had a situation where it kind of got physical. She kicked me in my chest and shit. And she slapped me twice, and I was like, yo, you're going to make me beat your brother up. What he got to do with this? Everything. Everything. Because I'm going to fuck him up to show you not to put your hands on me no more. You feel me? But she never did it after that. She loved her brother, so she said she wanted that ass whooping to be reserved. She didn't want that. But anyway, the point that I was making was that we lose that ability to, over time, be able to stand that the higher up we go. You feel what I'm saying? And it's like, damn, after you do it for so long and it becomes habitual, you don't know when to turn it on and turn it off. You don't know that, okay, this man is disrespecting this woman outside of work, outside of school, outside of this area. Fuck it. Stop him. You feel me? So now, if that is the excuse, I'm going to keep bringing this point back up. Because if that is what we're going to play, if that is the game that we're going to play where, they know who to try that with. You see why they're trying it with women. If they're comfortable doing that shit in the presence of a man, who's really the bitch in that situation? Because if we can call this man a bitch for putting his hands on a woman, what do you have to call the man who watches the man put his hands on a woman? A bitch squared, two bitch, whatever, however you're going to look at it. You feel what I'm saying? But now that goes into, continuing with my part about the higher up we go and the way times change. You feel me? And this is, you have the alphas and the betas, even the epsilons. But now, like I said, I'm going to go back to the story when I was in college and when I started to change. Because I noticed when I put down that shit, my ability, I smack a motherfucker. I didn't pick it up until my senior year when I was facing some shit because, motherfucker supposedly wanted to kill me in my senior year. So I was ready, bro, like, fuck ever. But that's when it came back. But the moment I lost it, like I said, I remember that moment when I was in the undergrad freshman year when I was about to fight because the motherfucker said something stupid but didn't defend itself. But then when I started becoming religious again, because when I started to reaffirm, vengeance is mine, said the Lord, and turn the other cheek and, hold your peace and let the Lord fight your battles. And that shit made me a bitch, bro. Like when when I talk to people, I say all the time, like, your religion made me a bitch. I have to keep it a buck. I have to keep it a buck. I have to keep it 100. Religion made me a bitch. I can't, there's no way I can make it any better. You feel me? There are no fighters in religion. You show me a good, and I was Christian. You feel me? You show me a good Christian man, right? You show me a good Christian man who will spill something right now. You can't. You can't, because there's so many different verses that have plagued our psychology and our subconscious mind to where we can't act. You feel what I'm saying? So a lot of these women, this is why it's like, this is why when it comes to the core of it all, women love hood dudes. They don't give a fuck. They have no bounds to anything. They don't have ties to religions. They don't have ties to anything. They're very, very volatile. They don't have that shit. So women love hood dudes because they know that this dude will fight. You feel me? At the end of the day, that's what it's going to boil down to. The good Christian guy, he's not a fighter. He loses that because vengeance, and I started to lose that. To go from the wild hothead that I was to where, you know what I mean? Like, yo, bro, you want to get this, want to scrap? Yo, let's scrap. Bam. Just punch a motherfucker just because I had to get the drop on you first. But then to go from, you know what, I ain't even going, hold your peace. And then telling myself this as I'm angry. Hold your peace, let the Lord fight your battles. You know what, God gonna deal with you. Nigga, he just called you a bitch to your face and you gonna tell him God gonna deal with you? Yup, I'm gonna turn the other cheek. I'm not even gonna let him get, no. That is a reality that happens to us. And the older we get, the more we succumb to certain ideations and ideologies, we lose that shit. Oh, I'm not fighting for this. I'm not like, the Lord he gotta move. So it's like those aspects help create the coward, the religiosity, the emasculation by growing up in academia, by doing certain things. Like, all of these things emasculate us as men, in addition to if we've never been in a fight or not. So now when we're posed with a position, and I've seen, and in that comment, even in that section which I was speaking with the sister, somebody was like, yeah, we understand that we don't, like, those type of men can be violent, like they want us to be bitches. Women want us to still be bitches too, low key, because the sister's response was so motherly. It was so motherly. I don't want my son fighting, and this is going to become a next point too. And this is definitely something I'm going to be speaking on in So Frail 3. But women become so motherly to men. I'm like, yo, don't fucking coddle me, bro. I'm a grown ass man. In the comments, I didn't say that to her, but as I'm reading it, I can see what she's saying. Well, we understand that these men are violent, and these men, we don't want you guys to, if you feel like he's going to be violent, we don't no, don't do that. Like, don't, because these men are very violent. That's why we want protection, everything like that. So I have to be able to get as violent as he can. I have to know that I can take it there. He got to know that I can take it there. You, as my woman, got to know that I can take it there. How many of y'all want protection from a man if you've never seen him fight? Like, dudes, like, I get it. You seen your man angry. You seen him raise his voice. But have you ever seen your motherfucking man fight? Like, you've ever seen him beat a motherfucker up? Not even fight. Have you seen him train? Have you seen him shadow box? Like, have you seen him in a position where he's throwing punches? You feel what I'm saying? I'll never forget it. I was in undergrad, and the girlfriend that I was with at the time, she was like, yo, can you teach me how to fight? I said, you don't know how to fight? She's like, I've never been in one before. So I was like, all right, show me your guard. Put your hands up, right? And she put her hands up. I just tapped her hand like and then her hand fell. I was like, the fuck? She was like, what? I said, your guard ain't supposed to fall. I said, I shouldn't be able to touch your hand like that. So we started, playing with each other. And it never turned into a fight. Don't get me wrong. That's not where the story's going. The point is that it was like, I never connected with her, but I was showing her moves on how to stick and move and shit. And she was like, how are you so fast? Like, why are you? She said, I can't even put my hands up fast enough to block what you're doing. I said, because you've never been in a fight. I have. I fight. I know how to do this shit, right? So she was like, so wait, why do you step around and move? You don't just stand. I said, no, who the fuck stands still in fights? That's stupid. It's a fight. You got to keep moving, bro. I can't let you get no advantages on me. You feel what I'm saying? So the point that I was making with that is that she got to see what would happen. And now that turned into another point, because when things popped off and she seen where I was, she would be like, yo, stop. No, because I know what you can do. You feel me? A lot of us assume that just because we're men, and a lot of women may assume that because he's a man, that he's in that space. Have you ever seen him throw them hands? Hey, huddle up, broskies, because it's time to elevate. The secret to evolving masculinity is to define it, understand it, then apply it. The So Frail series defines masculinity as the spiritual, mental, and physical embodiment of the essence of analysis and deconstruction. From this definition, I explain how masculinity is not just the hat that we wear, but it's the essence that we must exude through application. If you enjoy the So Frail conversations, why not read the books that inspire them? Visit IamJustSeen.com right now to add the So Frail series to your library to get a better understanding of what masculinity really is. I promise. After reading So Frail, you will never look at masculinity the same again. You feel what I'm saying? You can look at, like, on some real shit. I don't need funny shit. You can look at a motherfucker's posture. You can look at his movements when he's shadow boxing. You can look at these things and know if he knows how to fight or not. Look at the way he throws a punch. You feel what I'm saying? But the point that I was making with that was that, you know, in the sister expressing her point about, you know, it's okay to be, you know, I get it. You guys don't want to get that volatile because they are. No, I get as volatile as any motherfucker gets volatile with me. I don't give a fuck about that shit. You want to be crazy? I'll show you crazy. We can get crazy together. But that comes from me knowing the extent of what it would take against another man. You feel what I'm saying? A lot of men have not done that. You know, now I got homies who box. You feel what I'm saying? Boxing, learning how to fight from boxing is different from learning how to fight from the streets. I wish I would have learned how to box. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I wish I would have learned how to fight from boxing because, you know, it would have been a lot more structured. I learned how to take a hit by getting hit hard. You feel me? It wasn't levels to the shit. Like, you feel me? I got bare knuckle punched and shit. Like, you feel me? Like, that's just different. No headgear or none of that shit. So, you know, it was good enough for me, but it was like, yo, man, I ain't want to have a lumped up eye and shit. I ain't want my lip busted. What kind of shit is that? But it taught me how to eat shit like that. It taught me how to take punches like that, you know? So now, when we're considering these types of protectors, it's like, what do you do? Can your man fight? I'm not even gonna say man, because at this point I'm talking to my brothers too. But I know my sisters are listening as always. But my brothers, can you fight? Be honest with yourself. Really be honest with yourself. I get it. You go to the gym. Like, okay, you go to the gym. I'm like, I'm keeping 100 with you, bro. Having muscles, you know, having muscles and shit. That shit don't mean nothing, bro. Look, real shit. I'm not trying to be funny and, you know, downplay anybody. But just having muscles without the ability to use these motherfuckers, it don't mean shit to a motherfucker who knows how to fight. To a motherfucker's experience. I'm dead serious, bro. Like, I'm not trying to be funny or downplay anybody. But a lot of women see a muscular man. And we do it for the aesthetic appeal. A lot of times, okay, how they say, you know, women keep their bodies a certain way for a man. Sometimes men keep their bodies for a certain way for a woman too. Right? But what can you do with that body? You feel me? Now, to give off the look, like, yeah, you feel me? He has muscles. He has his abs. He has his pecs chiseled. Everything's cut and toned. But can this motherfucker fight? That's the question. Can he fight? Because your muscles don't mean shit if you can't use them. You feel what I'm saying? And that's where a lot of the assumption comes in. Oh, he's a strong alpha man because he got muscle. Man, you know how many muscle-bound motherfuckers I beat the fuck up in my day? You feel what I'm saying? Now, this is high school time, middle school, high school. I say high school, I never broke 140 pounds. I was beating motherfuckers up who was running football plays, who was playing on the football field. You feel me? Bragging about squatting 340 pounds and shit and benching 225. They bragging about that shit. I'm 140 pounds, 160, soaking wet. I was knocking these big motherfuckers out. Their muscles didn't mean shit. Their muscles didn't mean shit. You feel what I'm saying? My homies around me, we didn't play sports. You feel me? We stayed in the hood doing, like, we fought. We ain't need the muscles. You don't need the muscles, bro. Now, granted, the muscles are nice, you know, because sometimes she wants you to pick her up, you know, throw her around and shit. That's cool. You feel me? But the point is, we're not talking about that. We're talking about the protection part. You feel me? What is all these muscles if you can't use them? You big for nothing. You feel me? You big for nothing. I had a conversation with a homie, you know, he was like, yo, you play ball? Nah, I don't. Bruh, you like 6'2". You just tall for nothing. I said, I'm not tall for nothing. The fuck? You know, We can say shit like that when it comes to sports and shit. Oh, you just tall for nothing. Okay. But then when we talking about protection, I'm like, nigga, you just big for nothing. You big for nothing. I'll beat you the fuck up. I don't give a fuck about it. Like, I'll beat you the fuck up. Muscles or not. Why? Because I've learned to fight. You feel me? I've learned moves to fight. If you bigger than, like, and all I fought was bigger people. I gotta blame it on my brother because he was 7 years older than me. I needed a challenge. These niggas ain't hitting as hard as my brother. So I'm gonna fuck him up every time. You feel me? But then when it came to that true protection part, it was nothing for me because I'm not afraid of a fight. I'm not afraid of a fight. So how many men are able to fight? We're missing that whole point. Women are on these protecting and provision things, and then now we have to go into the upbringing. The upbringing. Because I asked my sisters, are you in a position to where you're trying to change that? Men aren't protecting and providing, but you don't want your son to be violent. You feel me? This hypermasculinity shit that they got us wrapped up in, confused with, is bullshit. Because a lot of times, oh, that's the male fragile ego. You need to be this. Like, no. If I get aggressive, if I get angry, it's because I have to. Let me rock. You feel me? Let me rock. You know? That comes to now you look at how the sons are being raised. Look at how the sons are now being raised. You feel me? Oh, these are kind of like, you want to be protected by men you allow to be soft. Oh, no, I don't want him out here fighting. I don't want him doing this. Like, when I was young, like, good thing, like, my mom didn't want me to play sports young because I don't want him to get hurt. My brother's like, yo, quit babying him. You feel what I'm saying? My brother played sports and shit because, like, you know, it's like, my brother's like, yo, quit babying him. And again, my father was gone. You feel me? But my brother, he played football. He played basketball. He pole vaulted. He did all kind of sports. He was a motherfucking natural athlete. He probably wrestled if he could. Like, you feel what I'm saying? So my mom, he's like, yo, let's sign him up for football and shit. She's like, nah, he's too young. He's too small for that. All right. See, you got to pay attention to that shit. That hyper masculinity shit. You feel me? That hyper masculinity shit. I talked about this in So Frail 1. You feel me? How the mamas can emasculate the babies. You know, a lot of men have been emasculated and didn't come to that point until they got older. Now I know it's not a contradictory for me to say what my mama said when you fight, beat the shit that she taught me to defend myself. She validated that shit. Yo, if somebody fucks with you, you whoop their motherfucking ass. Beat the shit out of them. You feel me? But a lot of women aren't doing that anymore. I don't want my son, because it's like now we have to deal with, you create this man who's willing to fight. You feel me? And then you see how this shit now starts to play in the bigger things, because now when you see this man, you know that if I'm a fighter, I'm gonna resist arrest. Because you're threatening me. You're threatening my stance. You feel me? I gotta fuck you up. I gotta fight. I got to fight back. There's no way around it. So how do I deal with that part then too? Because as a fighter, you can't turn it on and off when the time is fight. You just know that you get a certain feeling when it's time to assert that shit. When it's time to bang with motherfuckers, when it's time to scrap. You feel what I'm saying? So when we look at the protector and the provider moniker, when we look at all of these different things that play their factor and play their role into the reality of what we are, the reason why we won't fight, you know, because I'm about to wrap it up and go full circle and do my last little bits on this, because this next part that I'm about to touch up on is very important. Because when we look at the protection and the provision, not wanting to do it and not being strong enough to do it is because we cannot fight. We are scared to fight, and we are scared of getting beat up. So yeah, the sister, she put a very valid point on it. She said, y'all are bitches then if that's the case. Yes, I co-sign what you're saying, love. I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that. Because I'm going to call this man a bitch if he's willing to buck on a woman, but he won't do that same shit to me. But now we have to get to my brothers where it's real, where we can't in one breath acknowledge these men as bitches and then be scared of what we consider to be bitches. I gave it a moment of silence for us to deal with that. Because now here's the charge to where we are. Because that's telling us what we really are at the core. That's telling us who we really are in the grand scheme of it all. You feel me? My sisters, don't count on thinking you're going to get a religious man to protect you. You're not. You're not. You're not. He's going to pray for that man. rather than preying on him. You know, E's and A's, you'll catch it. But he's going to be willing to turn a cheek because now, when you look at the warrior spirit, you know, when you look at the warrior spirit, people, a lot of women like, yo, where's the warrior spirit to the man? Religion killed it. You feel me? And I'm gonna tell you where religion killed it. When you adopt things like turning the other cheek, when you adopt the pacifism, when you adopt vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. So I can't be like, you can't go to war without a vengeful mind. You cannot go to war without a vengeful mind. That is the purpose of fucking war is vengeance. So the purpose of war is vengeance. You want a warrior who believes that vengeance belongs to the Lord and not him. Fuck that. Fuck that. Like, no, fuck that. You feel me? Vengeance, it's mine. Says sing. Vengeance is mine says insert your name. Nobody's confident enough to do that. You know, nobody's confident enough to speak that for themselves because of the connection that they have with their creator or the lack of connection with their true source, whatever the case may be. But that has created a lot of bitches. You feel what I'm saying? Motherfuckers, it sound good to talk about what you would do in a circle. You feel me? I try not to talk about what the fuck I would do in a circle because when the time comes, are you going to do it? You know, oh, I wish this motherfucker would have done something. Then you get the opportunity. Wish can be granted. Then what are you going to do? Make the justifications? Oh, shorty, she had this on. You a bitch. Yo, see, shorty invited that shit. Yo, you got to think about it, man. She wanted it at first. She like, yo, all niggas that do the stupid shit, they got to be checked. Friends, family, countrymen, uncles, aunts, it don't fucking matter. Like, yo, you need to motherfucking put your shit down. If it comes to terms where you got to scrap. The fuck? Scrap. Even if you get beat the fuck up. Like, yo, let that shit be known. Yo, this is where I stand and this is how I stand on this shit. You feel what I'm saying? Don't do no fuck shit. Because, like the sister brought up, how can women still be getting raped if we don't know any rapists? How can women still be getting sexually assaulted if we don't know any sexual abusers? How can our little girls be touched by men before they're 18, but we don't know any men that are touching little girls? Are we that person? You feel me? Are we not willing to respond a certain way because of the guilt that eats us up for what we do outside of that? Or do we have the stipulations as to when and where we can quantify that and say that it's a reality and then it's not? Oh, well, nah, she wanted that, she did. Then now our little girls are going through not even saying shit. And a lot of times our little girls are being touched or whatever the case may be, and they won't speak on it because they know there's no protection in that space. If they speak on that and they get called a liar, they like, on some real shit. I got two nieces. If they ever, I don't give a fuck who it is. If I ever get glimpse of Uncle Ray, somebody touched me. Somebody did. Oh, I'm laying shit down. This is not a threat. This is not, this is an affirmation. There's gonna be nothing thought about. You feel what I'm saying? You let me find out any man has done anything to me. Like, yo, you got to see me, bro. You got to see me though. My brother taught me to be this way. You feel me? I grew up, I watched my brother. Now my sister, she was young. You know, she played open chess with this dude one time. Why? I don't know. Women, stop doing stupid shit like that. Y'all love my sister to life, but yo, start teaching the little girls early. Y'all can't fight a man. I get it though. Y'all feel like y'all got to. But, you know, so she's playing open chess with him. She punched him in the chest. He punched her back and knocked the wind out of her. You feel what I'm saying? My brother chased this dude on foot. Dude hopped on a bike. My brother chased him for hours. He tried to catch him, but he couldn't because dude was on a bike. You feel what I'm saying? I grew up seeing shit like that. You feel me? I grew up seeing shit like that to where it's like I gotta do something if something like that happens. There's no question like, yo, you shouldn't have been playing open chess with him. Fuck that. That shit goes out the window. My brother taught me never to fear man. And every time I seen my brother in action, he was not fearful. I used to, like, when we got older, she was like, hell, y'all was scared as hell, but I couldn't show you. I couldn't show you. And setting that standard, I'm like, yo, if he ain't, like, that's who I channel. I'm like, yo, my brother wouldn't be scared of this shit. Fuck that. That was me punching my hand to show that, you know, if I'm in a fight now, I got this shit got up. I always think about that. I go back to my childhood, and that's something that resonates with me. I'm like, yo, my brother said don't be scared because he wouldn't be scared. And I've seen him not be scared. Like, I've actually been in, like, I've seen my brother physically fight. I've seen my brother beat motherfuckers up. I've seen, like, I've watched it, like, yo, he can really fight, bro. And he said I could fight. Like, yo, this shit is exciting. Like, you feel what I'm saying? Like, that standard was set. But as men, for one, when it comes to that, you know, do we know how to fight? Do we have that example of somebody who shows us how to fight and still fights? You feel me? That's why when I talk about the rites of passage that we need to start reinstilling back within our boys, within this rites of passage, it's no longer sending them and signing them up for Pee-wee. No. Signing them up for Pee-wee League, football, basketball, no. That's no longer rites of passage. You feel me? We as men need to be toughening our boys up. And our women, stay out of it. I'm going to say it again. Stay out of it. Yeah, it can get to you. Your compassion's going to be there. When that rites of passage is happening, when that rites of passage is developing, okay, please stay out of the shit. You're not protector and provider. You're nurturer and sustainer. When your son comes back from his rites of passage, when your son comes back from his sparring, when he comes back from his training, that's when you show up as mother. Not to baby him, not to coddle and step in and say, no, you're doing too much to him. Leave that boy alone. You are emasculating him early. You are not giving him, because the world is not going to do that to him. The world is not going to allow him to have that opportunity to say, baby, come here. When the world is whooping his motherfucking ass, you're not going to be able to stop that shit. You're not going to, the world, please stop. He's a baby. They don't give a fuck. Stay out of the rites of passage. But, men, we need to be in the rites of passage for real. You cannot teach anybody how to have the rites of passage if you do not set up for yourself. You feel me? You trying to teach your son how to fight and you can't fight. I seen a few YouTube Jones where this dude tried to check his son. His son was 15 and his son was in the gang. You feel what I'm saying? Or his nephew or some shit. I think it was his son. So he said, oh, so you want to be in a gang, huh? Tried to intimidate him because he was the father. That son picked his dad up and slammed him through a table. I say, yo, you never showed this little nigga that you could scrap? You brought that ass whooping on yourself. He learned from the gang. He obviously didn't learn from you, and you never knew what he could do. You feel what I'm saying? That rites of passage shit, like, for when I have sons, they will have respected me for knowing what I can do, not feared me for something I've never showed them. You feel what I'm saying? And if it ever gets to that point, my sons need to know that, okay, yes, fighting is a reality, but we don't know how to fight or teach what to fight for. You feel what I'm saying? So now when it comes to now the protection and provision, you feel me? Now the protection and provision, we have to see that bigger reality, that when it comes to our women being protected, are we able to protect them? You feel me? My sisters that are listening to this episode right now, I need y'all to understand, can your man fight? And my brothers, can you fight? Can you fight? Anybody could punch somebody. Can you fight? Can you go longer than a minute in a scrap out without getting tired? If you get punched in your head, if you get punched in your eye, is the fight over for you? Do you no longer know what to do anymore? If you get hit, do you know how to step? Like, one thing that I used to like when I was younger, when me and my homies used to scrap, it's sadistic. It's kind of some sadistic shit when you really think about it. But it was really like, we weren't crazy. We weren't crazy. We would get punched in the face and like take a quick step back and smile and be like, yeah, nigga, that's what I like. If you ever fighting with a motherfucker who do that shit, you might get beat up. On some real shit, you might get beat up. I'm not trying to be funny because, you know, that's some shit that we used to do. But, you know, shit, hell, we still do the shit. But, you feel me? Those type of motherfuckers are different. I've seen fights where motherfuckers be hard. Yeah, what's up? Soon as they get hit, you hit me in my eye too hard. Bitch, it's a fight. I'm supposed to hit you as hard as I fucking can. I'm trying to take your fucking head off. You feel what I'm saying? Can you be in that position? Do you still fight even if you're losing? I'm fighting to the end. You feel me? That's what I was meaning when I was having this conversation with the sister. Like, yo, we scared to get our ass whooped. Scared to take a ass whooping because we've never been trained. We never had our physical rites of passage. To, yo, this is how you throw a punch. This is how you weave. This is how you move. Our fathers, they're no longer there to teach us how to fight. Our fathers couldn't teach us how to fight. They showed us ways to beat women, though. You know, they showed us that cowardice shit, you know, and that has allowed a cycle to go on. So so now the lack of protection goes hand in hand with the inability to find the value in a woman, because as men, what we do is we rationalize why the fuck we got scared. We rationalize why the fuck we a bitch. Oh, nah, well, she was this, that, and the third to him. And you feel me? It was what it was. Or, man, yo, she was out there acting like she wanted that shit, man. And then he did. Like, no. Stop doing that shit. It either is or it isn't. Either you're going to be an alpha that you claim to be, or you're going to be an epsilon. You could probably be a beta and get away with it, but either you're going to be one or you're not. There's levels to this shit. You feel me? There's levels to this shit. And if you're not willing to fight, then what? You feel me? Oh, nah, I'm not going to fight for her because, you feel me? That ain't my girl. That ain't this. Like, yo, your skirt is showing, bro. Your skirt is showing. And so, like I said, when it comes to this hyper-masculinity shit, a lot of that shit is the reason why motherfuckers don't fight too. I don't want to appear overly aggressive. Like, I remember when I would get angry before I, quote unquote, became woke and shit. I remember when I became angry and I would immediately try to calm myself down. Or I would immediately, like, if I wanted to fight, I would immediately, because I didn't want the women around me to feel like I was violent. I am. I'm a very violent individual. I don't deny that. I'm not violent towards women, though. I'm violent when it's necessary. And when you know that you're violent when it's necessary, it doesn't matter as long as you internalize that hyper-masculinity or toxic masculinity is being violent. I'm a I grew up to be violent because I meet violence with violence. I've learned all my life to meet violence with violence. The difference between me and most violent motherfuckers is that I know what I fight for. You know, when we teaching our sons how to fight, we need to teach them what to be fighting for. You feel what I'm saying? So I know how to get violent when it's time to get violent, to the capacity I have to get violent. There's different levels to that shit. And I had to, and that would fuck up what I felt like. Because when I would get angry and I know that I was in a relationship with a religious woman, I knew religious women don't like angry men. They don't like violent men. They don't. Because, you know, now it's, oh, damn, the Lord, he don't want me to respond like this. Now it's, oh, you're not good, you're not right with the Lord because you're not, like, nah, that shit, it starts to fuck with you. Because here I am knowing that I'm violent as shit, bro. I know that if you cross that line with me, I'm gonna fuck you up. I know that within me. But now I can't fuck you up anymore because, you know, vengeance ain't mine. This situation, like, none of this shit belongs to me. You know, these things play their part. You feel what I'm saying? As men, we got to accept that shit. And then we have to learn how to channel the violence. We're not taught to channel the violence because we're taught to be barbarians and not taught to be warriors. As a warrior, when I learned the warrior spirit, that shit gave me life again. Because I said, yo, I'm very violent, bro. Like, I've been violent all my life. This is not like, it's some funny shit like an intervention type thing. Like, I realized how violent I was when I was a kid. But then I learned that as I got older, there was never anything wrong with my violence, but there was something wrong with my guidance. And when I learned that I had no guidance with my violence, that's why it was destructive. But now I have guidance with my violence. I'm just as violent, if not more, when I was a kid. You feel what I'm saying? But I have guidance with my shit. I know what I fight for, how to fight to the capacity I have to fight. You feel what I'm saying? And that's what the reality has to be. That's what our rites of passage has meant. We're all supposed to be violent. But now when we talk about this hyper-masculinity, it's not hyper-masculine to be violent. You cannot be a protector and a provider. You cannot be a warrior without a vengeful mind. It will never work. Okay? It will never work. The fuck I'm gonna go? I can't go to war whistling. I can't go to war, with the hope and the prayer that something else is gonna intervene and intercede to save my day. No, fuck that. I go to war with the intention and the goal to bring shit down. Why? Because in addition to being a masculine man, in addition to honoring the masculine, and in addition to being the protector and the provider, I have to understand violence. Okay? To protect something, you have to understand violence, because you now have to protect what's around you to the capacity of that violent thing. So now when we see these brothers that are doing these things, they say, oh yeah, he won't try that with a man. He won't try that with a man. He doesn't have to, because a man's not going to stop him from trying it with a woman. So are we going to deal with that? Because like I said, when it goes back to what the sister was saying, well, like, yeah, these men can be very violent. This is what we're speaking on. I have to be able to get just as violent as that motherfucker, if not violent. I cannot protect you from any violent thing if I don't have the capacity to get just as fucking violent.
And don't forget to take a moment to go get your exclusive merchandise from Just Scenes merch. At Just Scenes, each piece is specifically crafted with positive imagery and symbolism. From the titles and designs to the descriptions, each style gives you something to feel great about. With everything from hoodies and tees to coffee mugs and tote bags, we have something for the entire family. So be sure to get yours today. Find us on Instagram at Just Scenes merch and get your merchandise right now.
All right, so I'm gonna try to, wrap it up there. My brothers, this is really for us. Like, we're afraid of a fight, right? And again, now I like how I wrapped it up, because we're afraid of the violence, because a lot of times we don't have the capacity to go to the violent level that person can go. You feel what I'm saying? Some people say, oh, that person's that, like, see, I'm a very logical person. I'm a very methodical person. I'm a very calculated person. I think a lot. If you know me, you know that. But I think a lot. You feel what I'm saying? So the capacity to which I can get violent can sometimes be startling and scary. I know that, and I've known that all of my life. But it was when I finally, quote unquote, became woke. I finally tapped into my masculine essence and I accepted this shit within myself. I said, bro, there's no problem. There's nothing wrong with me. This isn't hyper-masculinity. This isn't fragile masculinity. It is when I have no guidance with my violence. You feel what I'm saying? The guidance that I've had little tweaks when I was growing up. Never put your hands on a woman, different things like that. But I was never able to know the violence. The guidance aspect of my violence. I never knew shit like that. But then when I started to learn it, I understood that ain't nothing wrong with me. Ain't nothing wrong with me. But I understood why I'm feared. That helped me to understand why I'm feared. You feel what I'm saying? As a black man, because the capacity of violence that I can actually go to is monumental. And when I have guidance to know which way I'm supposed to go with that shit, like, there's no reason why our sisters should feel this way. You feel what I'm saying? So for me, I don't want it to appear from the physical aspect, Like, low-key, I'm gonna keep it honest with y'all. Like, I've always been asked, like, I can gain weight, I can bulk up quick, because I've done it. I do it. You know what I'm saying? When I really want to get back in shape and do that shit, I can gain a good 15 pounds in a month and a half. Easy. I know how to do it. I train my body. I know my body well. The reason why I don't is because I want motherfuckers to have that one advantage over me. Because nothing else is fair after that. And here's what I mean by that. in this same capacity of where we're talking about, well, they know how to try it with the right men. They know which men to try it to. I want you to feel like I can be the man to try it with. Because when I have to step in and defend and step in and, if I step in and, cause I just seen somebody post this. Dude said he was in somebody's DMs because he thought the dude was a woman. And he was like, yo, I'll hit you with a skateboard. He said, bitch, I'll hit you with a skateboard. And he was like, bruh, no, you won't. And then the motherfucker responded, well, I'm 185 pounds. I'll fuck you up. And dude said, I'm 225. And he thought it was a girl. So he's like, yo, you fat bitch. He said, I'm a dude, bro. And he sent a picture. And dude responded. The dude that was talking shit about hitting my man with a skateboard, he said, you know what? My bad. I thought you was a girl. My bad, G. He apologized to him. So yeah, we know that, okay, they're only going to try this with women. But at the same time, like that shit, it still plagues my mind. I cannot figure out for the life of me how we're justifying that, to where in one breath we can literally say, yeah, they know who to try that with. They know to try that with a woman. But yet, and still, we know that we have already set this standard and said, okay, if they're going to try it with the woman, that means they won't fight a man. That means they bitches. But then as the men watching these bitches do bitch shit, and we do nothing to these bitches, are we the bitch? And by bitch, I'm directly referring to men in this regard. Please don't think I'm talking about women. If we say a man who hits a woman is a bitch that won't hit a man, but at the same time, a man sees this man that quote unquote won't hit a man, but will hit a woman, and he does not hit that man, who's the bitch? Who's the bigger bitch in that situation? That's my thing. And our fear is, well, sometimes they got homeboys they can get, like, I get it. Now, I'm very big on understanding my surroundings. You feel me? I don't mind getting jumped. I don't mind that shit. I don't mind the fade. I don't mind none of that shit, bro. I like that shit. Don't let me find you on a one-on-one, though. Please don't. The cities are too small for that shit. Social media is too, I will find you. You feel me? So I'm not worried about that shit. You feel what I'm saying? But the scary part is, for one, like I said, as men, we don't know how to fight. And in addition to not knowing how to fight, we don't know how to get violent. We're scared to get violent, for whatever the case may be. When I realized, now this right here is me, I guess, making my shameless plug. This is why I had to remove myself from religion. This is why I had to remove myself from the workforce. These are why I had to do certain things that I do, because they all made me a bitch. I couldn't be violent anymore. I know it sounds so harsh to hear a black man talking about he wants to be violent. You see how we have to get over certain conditioning? You want me to be the protector. Our sisters want us to be the protector, but they don't want us to be violent. I'm very violent, but I'm violent with guidance. I have the guidance behind my violence. My violence is directed. I'm not violent for nothing. I'm not violent without a reason or a purpose, and I'm not violent to anything that doesn't deserve violence. I would never be violent to my woman, because that's where my heart is. I would never be violent towards my children, because that's where my heart is. Anything that puts any of those things in jeopardy, you're going to get the guided version of my violence, and you're not going to like it. That is what it is to be a protector. To have a guided level of violence so powerful, nobody decides to fuck with it. I didn't know this until I started to explore my father's side of the family, that side of my family, because I wasn't raised with my dad. A lot of that was kept from me. My dad's side is the violent side of the family. When I say they're fighters, 100%. That shit's infused in me. One of my big cousins from my dad's side, he was like, yo, you're going to be the worst one. I said, what you mean? He was like, y'all all violent. You, your brother, and your sister. I said, why? Because I'm the youngest? He said that, and you don't talk and you think. That's why your violence is going to be so much worse. I was like, what you mean by that? If I think, then that means I'm going to think not to be violent and all that. She said, no, that's the problem. Your shit is going to be methodical. It's going to be calculated. And he said, I fear the day you blow up. He said, but I hope that the day that you ever blow up, you got your shit together. So when he told me that, he was like, yo, you're going to be the live wire. You're going to be the violent one. He said, but it's methodical. I'm like, bro, don't put that on me. I don't want to be violent. I don't want to be this. And crazy enough, I hated fighting. I still hate it. I hated fighting. Like, fighting would always be my last resort. When I was young, before I fought people, I would cry. On some, bro, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. I didn't want to fight them because I knew innately, and I knew how deep my violence went. And even at a young age, I never wanted to express it. And I never forget when that moment changed. I was 11 years old. And I was fighting. No, I wasn't 11. I was 12. Let me stop lying. I was 12. And I was fighting this dude who, the people, they hyped me up. They told me that he called my sister a bitch. That's a no-go. You don't do no shit like that. But I just wanted him to know not to call my sister a bitch. So I rode up on him on a bike and shit. And I asked him, I said, did you call my sister a bitch? He was like, nah. I said, okay, I was gonna ride off. And he said, but if I did, come on, my nigga, why you say that? Bow! I punched him off the bike. When I punched him off the bike, you know, he's standing up. I hit him like 3 more times and then he falls. So I wanted him to get back up. You feel me? I wanted him to get back up. I was always like, if I'm gonna fight you, it's gonna be fair. This is when I understood violence. This is when I understood violence on a whole different level. Because before he can get back up, my right-hand man stomped his face in. We're 12 years old. Well, my homie was 11 because he's a year younger than me. I was 12 years old at this time. He stomped his face in. I had never seen anybody fight. I had never seen that type of fighting before. I was always, yo, bam, bam, bam. You fall, bam, get back up, bro. Come on, get your ass up, nigga. Fall, nigga. Square up again. But from that moment forward, I never let anybody get up. From that moment forward, if you fall, you fucked up. And I seen violence for the first time. But my violence was always guided. I always knew that I'm going to inflict this violence from you. After that, I never really had a fight like that. I never, like, if I fought you one time, that's it. That's it. Because you're going to fight me. You're going to get every violent aspect out of me. That's what it is to be a protector. I know it sounds harsh. It sounds graphic. It sounds scary. But see, that's how you can determine the thin line. Because when the shit pops off, I have to get as violent as I have to get as violent as my enemy. If I know that this man is willing to hit a woman with a skateboard, understand, nigga, I can hit you with a skateboard, a pistol. I can break your fucking face. I'll kick your fucking teeth in. You need to know what violence really is. The phrase that really sets this tone for me is that, you know, if you do something, like I've heard this growing up, you know, if they do something, I'm going to make sure that I'm the last motherfucker they ever do that shit to. That is what violence is. I'm going to inflict so much violence on you. I'm going to bring so much violence to your door when you fuck with me and mine that you'll never fuck with me and mine again. You'll know better. You'll fucking know better. You feel me? That's what it is to be a protector. This got graphic, I know. Got kind of sadistic, but it was what it was supposed to be. You feel me? Because now when we complain collectively, you know, the black woman is the most disrespected woman on the face of this earth. She's not protected. She's not protected because black men won't get violent. This is not me now. I'm not telling y'all to go start some shit up. I'm not telling y'all to go start some shit up right now. Don't say, Sing not telling you to do that. Y'all ain't ready. Y'all ain't ready. Y'all ain't violent enough. You know, I had a sister ask me one time, you know, when is the war is never, like, you can't be, well, black men, we're not violent with other people. We haven't reached that level of violence yet. We haven't reached that capacity to be able to be violent. You feel me? That's why they can do what they know we're not violent, because they've given us passive religions. They've given us all of these things to make us not violent. They've given us so much imagery to say, don't be violent. Being violent is bad. You're the bigger person. Overcome that. I have to remind people why I'm the bigger person. I get this. It's cool to talk that shit. Be the bigger person. But it's even better to talk that shit. Bitch, understand why I'm bigger than you. Know why I'm bigger than you. All right? Don't play with me. Don't play with me. And my brothers, when it comes to that protection and provision shit, ask yourself, are you violent? You feel me? Can you fight? Bro, like, it's one thing, like, we can be on this type time all day long where, you know, we say shit like, yeah, women, you know, I protect my black woman. Nah, it's different, bro. Can you be violent for her? Because you're not protecting shit. If you're just standing in to say, hey, man, leave her. Like, when I step in with the intentions of, yo, bro, leave this woman alone, you don't know how violent I just gotten in my head with that shit, because I know how you're going to respond. Do I got to break your fingers? Do I got to kick your kneecap in? Do I got to clap your ears and bust your eardrums? Do I got to punch you in your throat to crack your trachea? What do I have to do right now? You feel me? See, I got the skinny man's complex. I ain't got time to be wrestling with your big ass. You feel me? I'm going to give you your good 30 seconds, but understand I'm going to fuck you up. I'm going to punch the bridge of your nose to crack that shit. You feel me? Not only crack that shit, but so much is going to flow down you. You're going to have tears coming out. I know the anatomy too. So tears are going to come down your lacrimal fluids. Your eyes are going to well up. You can't see shit. I'm fucking you up. I'm not about to wrestle your ass. You feel me? When you extend your elbow, can I grab it quick enough and uppercut your joint and tear the fascia off of your fucking elbow and damage the bones that are connecting there? Can I do that shit so you're not fighting me? I don't have time to be going different. Like, I have to, when you anticipate whether you're going to protect or something, you have to realize what extent you're going to get violent with. Like I said, when I was in that fight when I was 12 years old and he fell and I was like, yo, I'm going to let him get back up. That was the dumbest thing I could have ever did in my life. Because I don't know what's going to happen when I give him that space and that breather. You feel me? The art of war. Even one of the 48 laws of power, you crush your enemy completely. So when it comes to our protection and our provision, now, here's my disclaimer for this shit, because I don't want y'all niggas blaming me for shit, because I can't help what another man does with the information that he's given. But I can say, I'm not telling you to do shit, but I'm saying, for one aspect, my brothers, if you're going to be that protection provider, please know how to get violent. Please know how to get violent. I mean, violent as fuck. You feel me? Finger breaking, stabbing, torturing motherfuckers. Like, you have to be violent, but you have to have guided violence. Guide your shit. Know what you're being violent for. Know who you need to be violent with. You feel me? Anything that is in opposition to you, you can be violent with. That's how I feel. That should be a commandment. Anything that is in opposition to your life you can be violent with. And you dictate what that capacity is. Hey, once you disrespect me and mine, you don't get to dictate how violent I get with you. All that shit goes out of the window. There's no mercy. Fuck you. You crossed the line. Okay? You crossed the line. So, you gotta stay there, buddy. But the point that I'm going with that, because I can keep going on with this shit. My sisters, if you want to be protected, you have to anticipate that your man can do some ugly shit that will seem unforgivable in the eyes of the Lord. But to the safety of his family, it's fucking valid. It's supposed to happen. All right? My sisters, if you want that, like, make sure he can fight. See what his capacity for violence is. You can tell what a motherfucker's real capacity for violence is. You feel me? I don't know make-believe shit. Like, I can tell you all day long, yeah, I'll stab a motherfucker, I'll break a motherfucker shit, I'll poke him 3 times, pour some acetone and some saline solution and let his blood soak and all that shit. I could talk about doing that shit, but watch a graphic movie and watch how the nigga cringe. You'll know if the motherfucker can really do that shit or not. You feel what I'm saying? Because those are things that you have to deal with. That's the level of capacity you have to get to, but you need guidance with it. Can you break a motherfucker's fingers and hear him scream? You feel what I'm saying? Like I said, can you cut small nicks into a person's body and then pour salt water over it continually and just listen to him scream? Can you do that shit? No. If you can't, you gotta build your tolerance for violence, because then you have to know what type of violence you're gonna be. You feel me? And that's where it comes in, to where now you have those women who know the capacity for their man's violence, and that's why they don't let him fight. You know, They are the no, babe, don't do it. They know their man's capacity for violence. You feel me? If you don't know your man's capacity for violence, and my brothers, make sure you're comfortable with sharing your capacity for violence with your woman. You feel me? Not on no first date type shit. Don't do no stupid shit like that, nigga. No, brother, no, fam, no. Do not do that shit. I'm not saying first date, yeah, baby, I'm a protector and a provider. I'll kick them off fucking knees. No. Over time, when you and your lady are talking about, y'all have gotten comfortable, she needs to know your capacity of violence, but she needs to also know that there's guidance there. I'm not all rip gonna prove. I don't have to prove to a woman I can write. I don't have to prove to a woman the things that I would do where she's in my presence to make sure she's safe. The extent I'll go to make sure she's good. You feel what I'm saying? I'm not gonna do that up front. But she's gonna know. You feel me? She's gonna know so much that if some shit pops off, she knows just to get the car and be ready. You feel me? You gotta make sure you and your lady need to have a plan. She needs to know that, okay, when some shit pop off, I need to make sure that, okay, he's getting angry. Let me go get the car. Let me back in so no cameras can see the license plate, and then have the doors unlocked. No, babe, come on. No, don't do it. She already know it's done. Like, that's how your woman needs to be. She needs to have that. Okay, it's done. I need to be the getaway driver. I need to go ahead and have this shit. Let me scope out these cameras. Okay, they're here. I'm going to make sure I pull in this way so they don't get it. And I'm going to pull out this way so they don't get my camera. They don't get my license plates. We got to go. Because I already know what the fuck is about to happen. You feel what I'm saying? But that puts the now balance into it. My sisters, if you have that man who's willing to protect for you, let him protect how he protects. Do not stop that. Once it's on you, you now become liable. I was in a situation with a woman who I was like, look, if you ever see me fighting, leave the scene. She was like, why? I'm going to help. You cannot help me. You are now a liability to me. You're no longer an asset because I have to worry about you too. You feel what I'm saying? If you are in the state of wanting to be protected and provided for, you have to know how to be protected and provided for. Okay, that is another nugget that goes into that. But I'm gonna keep going because I don't want to get wrapped up in this. I'm gonna say this one last time, my brothers. If you are seeing the brother and you are claiming that brother is the motherfucker who is scared to fight a man or whatever the case may be, but you are not checking that when you see it. You dig what I'm saying? You are the bitch, not him. He's a bitch for putting his hands on a woman, but you're a bitch for watching a man who's a bitch put his hand on a woman. You feel what I'm saying? I get it. These dudes can be violent. Increase your capacity for violence. This is not to say sit and binge watch Saw and things like that. Understand that you can go as far as you want to go with your violence, but have guidance with the shit. Never apply your guidance to women. Never apply your violence to children. Only to oppositions of war. That's what it means to be a protector. You feel what I'm saying? And anything that jeopardizes that, you show them capacity of your violence. We know our enemy's capacity for violence. They show us every day what their capacity for violence is. We don't have that. We don't have the same capacity. We're so busy trying to play. We're praying, thinking it's the last days of the last days. This is a motherfucking rapture coming in. So we don't exert our violence. Hold your peace and let the Lord see what the fuck this shit did to us. Made us bitches, bro. It made us all bitches. You feel me? Now, I'm not saying give up your religion or whatever the case may be, but don't let your religion make you a bitch. And I'll end with that. As always, I love y'all, man. My sisters, I appreciate the love and the conversation that y'all give, because I look at love like this. With love comes correction. When y'all talk shit, y'all are correcting us. It's that simple. It ain't no nagging. It ain't none of that shit. It's correction to me. And I hear y'all. I listen to y'all. I honor y'all. And I respect that. My brothers, it's time to tighten up. Protectors and providers, now we're going to go. Like I said, Frail 3 is going to have some shit for y'all. I done got y'all hooked with 1 and 2. And I got y'all hooked with these conversations. Now I talk my shit. Now I talk my shit. You feel me? As my brothers, we need to learn the rites of passage. We need to be able to show our capacity for violence, and we need to have guidance with our violence. I'm not saying just be recklessly out here damaging shit, because that's the difference between a warrior and a barbarian. A warrior and barbarian is having guidance with your violence. Barbarians, this is why when motherfuckers do drive-bys, they just shoot everything on the block. No, a warrior is going to assassinate you. I want you. I don't want your family. You feel me? If I can't get you, that's when it gets to the familiar part. But that's when it's past war. I'm not even gonna get into that part, but again, that's different. But you feel me? Those aspects we need to learn how to be violent again. But in addition to be violent, we have to have guidance with it. And I know right now it's making you cringe. Right now that's making somebody feel like, ugh, he's talking about being violent. What is he talking about? He's like, no. What do you think it is to be a man? What do you think it is to be a protector? I have to have a high capacity of violence to where motherfuckers can feel how violent I can get before I have to get violent. You can look in my eyes and see how violent I can get. You can hear it in my tone and know how violent I can get. You feel me? And I'm not saying being loud. I'm saying my tone in which I speak. When I go back to that metaphor, when I go back to that situation I had with the sister who poked me, when I looked at her nephew, I said nothing. I bullshit you not. I said nothing. My jaws tightened up a little bit, but he said, all right, auntie, let's go. I said nothing. No words came out of my mouth. I said nothing. Whatever I showed in that same capacity when I was in undergrad, when I walked back through the door and all I said was, what did you say? Whatever I showed, whatever my face showed, it put everybody in the room on alert. It put everybody in, like, that capacity has to be there. Your capacity for violence has to show. Do you have one? Do you have one? I challenge my brothers. I get it. If you're lifting weights, you're boxing, you're thinking like, cool, I got you. You got the physical aspect to protect that shit. But now, do you have the capacity for violence? And how are you guiding that? It's not just about shooting a motherfucker. That's defense. You can shoot a motherfucker. Can you live with a dead body? What is your capacity for violence? Your capacity for violence is going to determine how well you're willing to protect and to what extent you're willing to go to protect. You feel what I'm saying? But again, I should do a part 2 to this. No, I'm going to save the rest of this for the rest of the book. You feel what I'm saying? Because like I said, I've been talking shit in that motherfucker. But that's that. I'm not going to go on anymore because I've already took up enough of your time. So I love y'all, man. Love and light. Make sure your kids eat their vegetables. My brothers, tap into your true protective energy. See how violent you can get. You feel me? Visualize that shit. Meditate on that shit. Meditate in the opposition of how violent you can get. You feel me? My sisters, this is going to get scary for you at this point because you're already in the quandrum. If this man get the capacity for his violence, can it affect me? Because like I said, as men, we have fucked up. We have been fucked up. Because he's only going to try that with a woman. Yes, that speaks volume. I don't give a fuck. This is something that I've learned. If a man is willing to exert violence over a woman, he brings me no fear. He brings me no fear. Because your capacity to exert violence doesn't even come my way. You don't even think to do that shit to somebody like me. I'll have a field day with your violence. You're going to wish you never let my violence come out. That's what it's about. That's what being a protector is about. You feel what I'm saying? So we need to change that narrative. So like I said, with the sister who was saying, like, we understand how violent men can get with us, so we know. No, fuck that shit. If I know that this is how violent he gets with you, you're the softer vessel, please, that shit don't scare me. You did that to a woman. Let's see how violent you can get with another violent motherfucker. All right, but I'm sounding crazy right now, y'all. I'm really not crazy. I'm sane in the motherfucker, okay? Please know that. I may sound crazy, but I'm perfectly sane. I am not insane. I am in my right mind. This is valid logic. If you want to talk about masculinity, if we want to put this shit on them, we have to stop saying violence is hyper masculine. It's toxic and all that shit. No, misguided violence is what's toxic. It's what's bad. When we got to learn to guide our violence again. That's what the warrior spirit is. So, with that, go kiss your babies, man. If you have sons, let them be violent, but teach them how to guide their violence. Teach them when to use their violence the right way. Don't just be out here violently fucking shit up. That fight shit we teaching our boys is good. Teach them what to fight for, when to fight, and what extent to fight. Teach them. It's okay. You feel me? Because while we're sitting there trying to pray, they're teaching their kids how to kill animals. That's what it's about. You feel what I'm saying? So go kiss your babies. Love, light, all of that good shit. Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. And I will see you all on the next one.